Let's talk to Jim Morgan. Jim Morgan, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bill Rowe. How are you, sir?
Great. How are you making out, Jim?
Pretty good. I'm looking forward to the meeting this afternoon, the annual meeting of Nalcor.
Yeah.
I wasn't shy in asking questions, speaking of my issues and concerns at the last two meetings.
No, right.
I'm looking forward to it this afternoon. There's a lot of questions unanswered. I listened to Mr. O'Brien this morning, and he seems to be working in coordination with Mr. Cabot Martin. So these two competent gentlemen got a lot of things to put on the plate as well. Whether they come to that meeting today, I don't know.
They're digging into it. I mean, they're coming up with facts and figures that otherwise we wouldn't have any idea about.
That's right. Now, this afternoon, I mean, we're hoping, and myself and a number of other people that we contact frequently want to get some answers. I mean, this whole deal is so secretive, and there's no information. We don't know what Nalcor has been doing with about approximately, well, a little more in my estimation, according to the figures I got, a little more than $500 million, more like $700 million transferred from the taxpayers or to the budget from the taxpayers to Nalcor. And we get no information as to where they're spending the money and what they're doing with it. And it's about time we demand to give us some answers. I mean, 2 years ago, I posed a question from the floor twice. And finally, I got an answer from he's still the president of the company and chairman, president, and Mr. Martin, about the value of a contract that we found out with Evelyn. That company that's got problems around the world. I won't go into that today.
All right.
I may this afternoon, but not now. And we gave them a $50 million contract 2 years ago, and we haven't heard one word since. We don't know how it's been spent. We don't know what has been spent, and what more money is required, and how much is it costing us every single month. I'm sure it's costing millions more. Yeah.
Jim, just before you move on to anything else, on SNC Lavalin, if you do get a chance to question the top brass of Nalcor on that today, will you ask them what their precise relationship with SNC Lavalin is as we speak, in the light of the very serious legal embroilments that they're involved in throughout the world, bribery, accusations and charges and so on, CEOs flicked out and all that kind of, as a result, and that kind of thing going on? Will you ask what our relationship is? I for one, am not sure what it is as we speak.
Well, we know that upon pressure from the two annual meetings ago, at that meeting, it was finally let out by the president then that Nalcor had given them, we don't know how they got the contract, what the terms were, but they gave him a contract and gave him $50 million, and the indication then was for engineering work. We didn't pursue it too much at the time. It was just for engineering. Now, we know they have an awful lot of engineers employed in this province, SNC Lavalin, but when we got later on, when it came out that it wasn't only for engineering, it's for procurement. All the things procured for that project in Labrador is going through SNC Lavalin. And with the problems they're having with bribery and corruption around the world, even to the point of Canada saying to them that you're not going to be allowed to bid on any project where we're involved, in other words, CEDA, that's a Canadian International Development Agency, doing projects around the world, you're not going to be allowed to bid. And along came the World Bank on top of that, or with that, and saying, no, any funding we provide to projects of different parts of the world, SNC Lavalin is banned from bidding on any project.
And that's one of our big partners at Muskrat Falls.
Well, they've already got $50 million from us, and that was 2 years ago. Now we want to know the details of what are they doing, where are they doing it, etc. Are we getting value for our money, Bill? That's the key thing. Nobody is insinuating this corruption here. Certainly hope not.
Right.
But anyways, nobody insinuating that. But with the reputation of that company, at least we should know, all the taxpayers should know what they're doing, how they're spending our money. And the other thing really bothers me lately. It really bothers many Newfoundlanders who think about it. When we hear our government saying, and including Nalcor, blurting out, if Nova Scotia don't come in on this big project to put a cable across from Newfoundland to Nova Scotia, we'll build it ourselves.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? We will build ourselves a place yet. That's a big question as well. But it's our money, and I don't know if the Newfoundland government just bought in place a little while ago, as you know, C-29. It seems to me that bill was brought in for mainly called Information Act, but no, it's a Secrecies Act, and they're not giving any information out, and Nalcor is following their lead. Nalcor won't give anybody any information, and they should be giving it publicly. We should know the full details of any contracts they got in place, and who's doing it, and what money is put forward so far, and what's the demand for the future. These things all should be on the table. And I'll say it again, I said it before, I think, on your program. There's no accountability. And they're talking about, transparency. There's no transparency. It's one big hidden deal. We don't know. All the taxpayers don't know what's going on half the time, because Nalcor won't say a word, and we're assuming that the government has told them it will protect you under the Bill C-29. It's really not good enough. So hopefully this afternoon, I know I, for one, will have my mouth going, asking questions and having further comments. But let's listen to this. They're going to give us a 2-hour meeting. After all the money they spent, hundreds of millions of dollars of our taxpayers' dollars, they got an annual meeting called, and they're going to have a meeting of 2 hours total. Now, can you imagine that? It's a scandal. It's an insult to all of us here as Newfoundlanders. An insult that we get 2 hours total, and that's after they make their own reports, etc.
Yeah.
Oh my. It's a scandalous situation. It's about time we as Newfoundlanders get better, tough in our questions and our comments.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, Jim, if in fact Nalcor, with a 2-hour meeting scheduled, whether in fact they will cut off questions from you and others after that 2 hours have expired. Because if they do, they'll certainly be undermining their credibility in the eyes of many people.
Yeah, they will. And I want to repeat and say, people like was on this morning, Mr. O'Brien, and people like Cabot Martin, a good friend of mine, and others that I've talked to over the spring in particular, and all last fall together, we were having meetings and discussions. We all agree that Newfoundlanders are taking this too easily. They're taking it too easily. And there's still problems now with the technical side of things, as mentioned by Mr. O'Brien this morning. All of this is come home to haunt. Who are they going to haunt? The taxpayers of Newfoundland.
Jim, just to remind our listening audience where and when the annual meeting of Nalcor is taking place.
Yes, and they've been pretty quiet about that. They don't seem to want people over there.
They have been very quiet. I only picked up on it myself, reading a news story in Vocm News. I mean, it hasn't been blasted all over the place. Let me put it that way.
Oh, no, they don't want people going to the meeting, especially people like Jim Morgan and others who's going to be asking questions. But anyway, the thing is, it's 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, specified. That's the hours of their meeting, their annual meeting. Yeah. And they gave it, but they're not going to put anything in the annual report that's controversial. It's straightforward. There's some questions to be answered on that, but there's questions about what they've done the last 2 years and what is costing Newfoundlanders and what have they already set aside for future spending. They just got, as I mentioned some time ago, 386 million was transferred from this year's budget over to Nalcor and not accounted for. Now, Bill, you know and I know the problems we're having in our economy right now in Newfoundland with our social services and others, the health care and the education and many other things, we haven't got the money, as the government says, to spend. And we can pump all that money into a company, a crown corporation, owned by us, the Newfoundlanders, and we can't get accountability. Shameful.
Jim, where's the meeting being held? At their headquarters or somewhere else?
No, it's at the Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I think that's the same place as last year.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a 2-hour session, open 1 o'clock, and it's supposed to be going till 3.
All right, well, Jim, later in the week, if you get a chance or whenever the spirit moves you, get back to us by all means and give us your take, your resume of what you thought of the annual meeting and the response by Nalcor. We'd appreciate that.
I'll do that, sir.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Thanks very much, Bill.
All the very best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Jim Morgan, one of the activists in trying to find out what's going on with Nalcor and the Muskrat Falls development and the many questions that have been raised.